like there's space for it, so we could just like the brewery's huge. So because we have two different also buildings too, one distribution building and one like main brewery / tap house. So there's definitely room for some band practices or shows. Like we've actually wrestled at the tap room before. We've had wrestling shows. So
yeah, I was gonna ask if they've had wrestling there before.
Yeah. I recently just did a Pride show, for Cincy Pride. They had a big wrestling event, and it was awesome. It was a drag queen show and a wrestling show mixed together, and it was awesome. They were just having a good time, slamming back beers, hooting and hollering like you do at a wrestling show.
I've had that idea for the longest time to mix wrestling, drag shows, burlesque, and kind of comedy. Basically kind of what Lucha Vavoom's been doing, but but on not a bigger scale, but just on like a brewery scale, because I think, again, wrestling is a buffet, or, it's Baskin Robbins, has all the flavors. If you have all the flavors and you make it a giant variety show, it's even better because you don't have to worry so much about, where you're still taking them on the fans on a ride, but
right.
It's not match after match after match after match. They can have the levity of a comedy show, and then there's a match, and then there's the levity of either a burlesque performance or a drag show, and then there's another match. Like there's the highs and lows, and people can, not have to be up. They don't have to feel like they're up and down, but they're just literally just being entertained, but in different ways the entire time.
Right, and it brings such a wide variety of people together too. Like that was the kind of thing I really enjoyed about the last Rhine Guy show is the majority of the crowd weren't wrestling fans. Like they came for the drag queens and to be entertained. So that was really beneficial for all of us wrestlers because we ended up moving a lot more merch. We ended up having a lot more crowd interaction, and we also we got tipped like the drag queens because a drag show. Drag shows that they'll throw out dollars and stuff like that. So I had my match with the queer Billy Gigi Jacobs, and we hugged it out, and we looked around after the match, and there's a bunch of just tons of dollar bills just up in the air getting waved at us. So we got out the ring and started getting tips,
Yeah.
So, and you don't see that except for in Mexico. That's a pretty normal thing for lucha shows, but that's not a thing in regular wrestling spots,
Yeah, it's just a bunch of sweaty, neck-bearded wrestling fans that are there to watch you and maybe try to get your autograph afterwards.
Right, and a lot of times think they know more than you do, even though you've been in the business for X amount of years. So,
of course. I mean, they obviously know way more than you do. How could you ever think that you know more than they do?
Right, or they pick at the dude who's oh man, I can't believe that dude messed up that corkscrew moonsault to the outside, trying to pinpoint one dude amongst 6 dudes. I'm like, bro, you had problems standing up in your chair.
Yeah. Your shoes are untied because you can't bend over to actually tie them. Or you just have slip-ons because you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Right. It's easier.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
Yeah. It's a big brain move.
Well, honestly, why would you waste your time, having to tie your shoe when you could just put slip-ons on? I mean, duh. Just time saver.
Laces are so archaic these days.
Laces are so 1980s. There's no reason for it.
But that's when we got the what they.
Right.
That changed the game.
Yeah. Now, as much as this is a physical sport, it's obviously also a mental one as well. What kind of mental workouts do you kind of get yourself in the mood before a match, and then obviously bringing yourself back down because you're performing in front of all these people, and you're on the high, and then once you come back, and then when you're back in your hotel room or in your car afterwards, you for the most part you're by yourself, so you kind of have to bring yourself down. How do you kind of navigate that?
So for pre-match, it's a lot of I don't know, it's reassuring that I know what I'm doing and that I'm going to be okay. And more so, I'm going to be able to take care of the person I'm working. That's a big deal for me, especially with what we do. You know, there's a high risk factor in wrestling. There's an even higher risk factor when you're wrestling in glass. So, like, just being kind of reassuring myself is a big deal. And then before I go out into the curtain, man, I wear a Minpo, you know, a half mask before I put on, and that's kind of the marker for my mental state was like when I put the mask on, that's when the switch flicks. That's when I have to turn from regular everyday Remington to Rhor, you know. And then post match, man, like the way I would phrase it is adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
You know, cause I've gone and had like dinner, or I've gone out and like my friends and like played hours of Magic or played like hanging out with everybody, you know, after losing tons of blood and having hundreds of scores, like cuts on my body or, you know, like or coming off a roof or something like that. And then hour or two later, like I know exactly when my adrenaline levels are like crashing. I'm like, sweet, I need to go lay down. I need something with lots of like glucose. I need water, and I need to lay down. So it's a lot of like, I guess mental pacing would be the way to put it. Like I know exactly roughly how long I have until I need to be like, hey, I need to cut away from everybody, and I need to go have my me time as much as I can.
Right. No, I completely understand that. Yeah, I know. I work backstage for a local wrestling company here, and anytime we'd be done, I'd just be, you know, still on cloud nine. I'm like, all right, let's fucking, you know, go out and get some drinks or whatever. Or sometimes it's just like, no, we're all gonna go back to, or some of the guys or girls have to go somewhere else, and some people will just be going, you know, home or whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll go home, and I come home and it's dead silent, everyone's asleep, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just hop in bed.
What do I do with all this energy?
Right. It's like, okay, well, you gotta mentally kind of just bring yourself down on your own because, you know, drugs are great and all, but they don't do everything you need them to do.
Right, 100%, you know.
Yeah.
I'm already a pretty chill individual too, so I'm not like that big of a partier. I'm definitely like, oh man, we can go out to this club and we can go do whatever. I'm like, can we hang out and play like Dungeons and Dragons or something instead? Like that's more my vibe. Like, I'm a massive nerd, so I'd rather be like, hey, can we go do something fun? Like,
right,
you know?
Yeah. I think that's always been one of my favorite things about the wrestling industry is like the after the fact, like obviously what y'all do in the ring is some of the best sports out there, and you know I've gotten shit since I was a kid for being a wrestling fan, but everybody knows that there's no off season. Like there's no like you're doing this all the time every weekend. It's not a turn off thing. It's you guys are on and like you guys have to, you know, fight through injuries and everything. But the personalities outside of the ring obviously is so much fun because you have guys like yourself that would much rather go play either tabletop games or video games. And then, like you said, there's the other side that like, no, let's go to bars, let's go to some clubs, you know, let's go see what trouble we can get into. And it's like and then everything in between, obviously, but it's just so the dynamic backstage is so much fun for me to watch.
100%, and a lot of the times it's kind of like exactly who you think wouldn't be like that. You know,
yeah.
You could see, like I put myself as an example. Like people who don't know me, they think I'm this like big hard ass like you know barbarian Conan looking dude. I'm like, dude, I literally have D20s tattooed on my chest. Like just. It's two different sides of a coin. There is a side of me that does exist that will maul you and throw you across the room, but there is also one that will ask you to make a perception check. Like I am, you know. And then there's some guys I see that like you know that wrestle that you know in regular society kind of look like big nerds, but, you know, their personality's so big that they're ready to party and they're, you know, going ham and like, all right, we're going to go to the strip club, man. We're going to stay up until about 5. That sounds like a pretty reasonable time to get in. I'm like, what do you mean, dude? Like, I can't do that. That's crazy. Like,
yeah, I've got shit to do tomorrow. There's no way I'm staying up till 5.
yeah, it's like I want to go to the gym tomorrow. Like, I gotta get my diets. I gotta get my sleep in. Like, I got shit to do. Like, new comic book day, man. It's Wednesday. Like,
I'm not Ric Flair. There's no way I'm going to be drinking all night and then go to the gym in the morning. That's stupid.
Yeah, that ain't me, man. Like, I have my beers after shows and my beers at shows here and there, man. But I don't like being drunk. I like being tipsy. I like being right about there. But I hate being to that point where, like, the world's spinning and I can't stop it. I'm like, I want to get off the ride.
Yeah, but you can't. You just got to wait it out.
Right, man. You got to sit back and just let that roller coaster go until it gets to the end.
Yeah. And it's even worse when you have, like, some random song that'll just get stuck in your head and it'll, like, bring up all these weird memories or bring something up and then, like, that's what you're just fixated on. It's like, why is my drunk brain focused on this one song or a movie or whatever that happens to be on? And you're like, how did I get here? I got to go outside. I got to get out of here.
Oh, you know. And you'll sing it out loud, too. That's the worst part. Is, like, that filter is gone, so you'll just be, like, humming it or, like, belting it. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm still singing the song. You know?
Right. That singing song thing will come up later, I promise you, but not for right now. If people have never seen you wrestle, what 3 matches would you recommend they watch?
Oh, man. Me and Madman Pondo at the Asylum Deathmatch Tournament 2. Me and Brad Cash at the Asylum Deathmatch Tournament 3. That's one of my favorite matches. That's my first time I ever got a Fight Forever chant. That was a really good day.
Oh, it's awesome.
Also throw a light tube shopping cart in that match, so it gets pretty wild. And then me and Eric Ryan at Circle 6 in Cleveland. Yeah, we did terracotta death match, so like flower pots.
Oof. Would you rather take flower pots or light tubes?
I don't know. They kind of fit about the same for me.
Okay.
So either or is fine. Both. Let's do both.
Fuck it. Do it. Might as well.
Yeah, send it. Like.
So I have a segment on the show. I call it the 5 count. It's just 5 random questions. Just answer as quick as possible.
Sweet.
Here is that singing question I said was going to come back. What song do you car karaoke to?
Oh boy. Currently it's "I'm Still Standing" by Elton John.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I've been belting that one pretty frequently.
Nice. If you owned a liquor company, brewery, winery, or coffee shop, which one would it be and what would the name be?
Oh man, you made that difficult because you also put coffee in there.
I mean, that's the whole emphasis of the show.
Yeah. Probably coffee, to be honest.
Okay.
And then name-wise, I kind of want to call it Iron Brew because I like my protein coffees. So
that's good. I like that one. What are 3 things people would not expect about you?
That's kind of a laundry list.
I mean, we touched on it with the Magic and the Dungeons and Dragons. So
yeah, I'm a man of I'm a walking contradiction a lot of the time.
You're just Green Day song.
I was saying I'm a huge fan of drag queens. That was what I was going to say, but I kind of brought drag queens up earlier on. That's what I always say. I used to watch RuPaul religiously. So
I still haven't seen that show, and I hear it's fantastic. I guess
it's a hoot, man. Like, you could go back and watch from like the first seasons and have a blast for all frickin', I think there's 14 of them now. I stopped watching around 12.